Conference will now be recorded.
People from past 7 to 8 years. From the from the career of 4 years, I started training people because I worked as a team lead. I worked as a SMC lead, SMC hub lead. So all this, with the help of this, I started training my team and training other team members. So I do have 7, 8 years of experience in training the people where they started working in a different regions and different zones. So this is about me with the solution architect, as well as I do have the certifications related to the Azure is 305, 400, 104, and 900, where these are all related to the infrastructure fundamentals, solution architect, and the DevOps. So can we have quick intro of yourself so that we can just go ahead and jump into our today's class? Let's make this session as interactive. So I want everyone to speak out. So let's start with your quick intros.
Hi all, this is Tarun. I have experience in IT for around 3 years. I've been working as a storage administrator. Currently, I'm working with TCS, and I'm interested in learning about DevOps and cloud. So that's about me. Thanks.
That's nice to hear, Tarun. Okay. Who wants to go next? Okay. No one wants to introduce. That's fine. Okay. So now let's go ahead and understand about the our today's demo, or our today's reason for joining here is we want to learn about the multi-cloud DevOps. What does this multi-cloud word means? Anyone wants to answer? What does the word multi-cloud means? Okay, so the multi-cloud means having a different cloud environments and creating the resources in different cloud environments without depending on one single environment. If one single environment goes down, the other will be coming up and try to do as a backup of this particular environment. So majorly you will be seeing these type of architectures in the high-end MNC companies with R&D, or the e-commerce platforms, the food delivery apps. Okay, clear everyone? Before understanding about the multi-cloud, first let's understand quickly about cloud. What is cloud? Cloud environment. Now, if anyone wants to tell me what is cloud, or what do you understand about the cloud? Or when you talk about the cloud, what does that comes to your mind? Guys, let's make this session as interactive. So I want everyone to respond back.
Any computing services that is provided over the internet, maybe.
Correct. So the cloud means any resource that created using a renting environment simply. So renting environment is nothing but we won't be having our own setup. We will be taking the rent of some setup that is either in Azure, either in AWS or GCP. So we won't buy the environment, but still we will use that environment and we will pay for the usage of that environment. That is utilization cost, which is also known as pay as you go method. Pay as you go method means how much you utilize, that much you pay. So that's called the cloud environment for you. Okay. Now, why does this cloud environment came into picture? Let's quickly understand about the earlier setup, something before cloud. Okay. Let's say I have a company. Okay. I have a company which we'll call it as training.com. Okay. Now, before, so I have a company and everyone, whoever wants to search this training.com, they will be able to see all my training documents and they will able to learn about this training doc. So that is my company related to. Now, before entering into cloud, how do we deploy this training.com is we used to have server in our office. So what we used to do, we used to deploy this training.com application into server, and there the server will be applicable to or publicly accessible. Now with the help of this server, people will be able to access it properly. Okay. So this happens without server. Now what happens is, so suppose let's say if suppose if I if say- let's say I have a fire accident in my office, or my server has some glitch, or my server got destroyed in between, or my server is not stopped working. All these reasons, because of these reasons, what happens is there will be a downtime, or there the application won't work for the users, correct? Are you guys getting it? So then, to make this available for everyone, to make this available for every time, now what we will be doing is I took the help of cloud. Okay. So then I took the help of cloud. Suppose let's say I have deployed my application in Azure. This is Azure environment. Now rather than my training.com deploying it in server, I will deploy my training.com in the Azure. From Azure, user will be accessing it. Okay. From Azure, user will be accessing the application. So this, why we will be moving into the Azure is the the crash of the server, the power outage of the server, the fire accident of the office, or there is no disaster recovery, there is no proper internet. All these disadvantages will be reduced and will be applicable everything in the cloud, that they will maintain a power, they will maintain a backup, they will maintain a disaster recovery, they will substitute our environment into different zones so that we will go ahead and connect it to each zone. So to make these all advantages and make my application available, I'll have shifted from the on-premise environment to cloud. Now, as we have the cloud. So what are all the major cloud providers we have? The major cloud providers we have is AWS, GCP, and Azure. So that's why we have this multi-cloud environment came into picture to make the interdependent of the resources. That is, suppose let's say I have deployed everything into the Azure. Now all of a sudden, if a Azure region goes down, what happens? Is that clear, everyone?
Kiran, I have a doubt.
Yeah, go ahead.
So during an outage, I mean, there will be switchover, right? During that time, the downtime would be minimal, or there would be no downtime at all
Where?
during the switchover. If there is any crash
Okay,
in
so
the server.
if there is a switchover, so switchover at from the Azure end, there won't be any downtime, or there will be a minimal of 5 to 10 minutes. Switchover from our end, manually switching the environment, will be having a downtime of 1 hour or 2 hours.
Okay.
Okay, we have a message. We can't see your screen. Everyone, can you all see my screen or?
I can.
Okay, Prashant, it's only for you, I hope. So
Okay.
just check your internet. Rest all, can you all see
Sure,
my
sure.
screen? Okay, so that's
Okay,
Yeah.
why,
Kiran, I will rejoin again.
yeah. Now, let's say cloud, as I already mentioned, cloud is like renting power from electricity board. That is, you don't build a generator, you use what's needed, right? If you take the example of electricity board, you will be just using the power. There will be someone who generates the power. You will be using that power, but you won't be creating or you won't be building any generator, right? Are you guys getting it? Any question? Okay, let's say to make you understand very clearly of what exactly this multi-cloud is or how this multi-cloud works is in a real time, let's say real time scenario. Let's take the example of a real time scenario. Like we have took the example of training.com. This time let's take the example of imagine you have Netflix. Everyone know about this Netflix application, right? Where you stream videos to millions of users, right? Netflix will be doing the same thing, correct? So we have a Netflix application where we will be streaming the videos for this Netflix application. Now, if I deploy my Netflix application into Azure, Azure Cloud, and user will be watching this. Suppose, let's say user 1. So user 1 is watching the Netflix videos. And my where is my Netflix application deployed? Guys, I want everyone to respond back
On the cloud.
in the cloud. Suppose let's say I have a Netflix application and I have deployed it in the Azure, and there is one user who is watching it. Now all of a sudden this Azure goes down. What happens? Will you be able to watch the videos?
No.
Azure goes down, or as everything I have dependent on the Azure cloud and I have started creating multiple resources, creating multiple environments to make my users visible without any disturbances, then all of a sudden Azure increases cost because I'm depending on everything and I'm using more Azure resources, so I can't now take back of the resources. So Azure increases the cost. Do I need to spend the amount? Come on,
Yes.
guys, respond back. Yes, I'll be spending the amount. And suppose, let's say Azure decreased zones or regions, but still I need to be dependent on the Azure cloud because all my resources are deployed only on the Azure cloud. Now, that is the reason why in today's market, the usage of multi-cloud or the level of multi-cloud engineers got a high demand. Why? Because every company, every application, or even a startup company is trying to check the alternatives to reduce their cost, to reduce their dependency. That is the reason why there is a huge demand to all the people who are working as a multi-cloud or who are trained in multi-cloud environment. Because as you know, this is a AI generation. When you have a AI generation, people will see or people will take the person who has knowledge in multiple environments. So because I'll tell you why. Now, when Azure goes down, if you at least have the backup in the AWS will start picking up the resources. If the Azure cost increased, we have a chance of deploying all our resources to AWS because we already started using. When there is a region or zone decreased in the Azure, or AWS is providing more zones, or GCP is providing more zones. Now, if you take the example of the very recent example of Google Cloud, so Google's Cloud is trying to set up their environment in the Vizag, which is very near to uh, our states. So then in those scenarios, I can simply go ahead and move my application to that nearby to provide latency free or to provide less cost environments to my users. So that's why that is a requirement of multi-cloud. Clear everyone on this?
Yes.
Okay. So that's why Netflix started using Netflix started using AWS for streaming, Azure for analytics, GCP for AI or AL, AIML, that is artificial intelligence with machine learning. So when we started using like this, what happens? There is no interdependency or there is no dependent on one single environment, and we can shift our environment from any time with any place without any other security measures, because we already have a proper security or proper setup with connecting to the different clouds. So that makes us simply easy and quickly to change our environment from one cloud to another cloud. Clear everyone on this?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so until now we understood about the on-premise cloud, multi-cloud, what is multi-cloud, why this is dependent on multi-cloud. Now let's understand about, okay, so now we just started a word stating that it is easy and quickly to set up a different region, try to move everything into the different so when we try to move manually, it will take lot of time, right? So for this, we need an automation process. So what is the best automation script or best automation tool is for this multi-cloud is Terraform. Why? Terraform supports all the three clouds. As Terraform is a third party, it has the dependent or supportive of all the three clouds. That's why for multi-clouds, we will be using Terraform as our automation tool. That is, suppose let's understand how Terraform automates multi-cloud. Let's say we have Zomato to launch, needs to launch 10 new servers across India and US. Suppose let's say across India and US using or during Diwali sales or Dasra sales or whatever it is. Because there will be a huge customer, and if they want to launch 10 servers across India or US, now each engineer logs Azure and AWS consoles for them if we go with the manual setup, which will take hours, right? Each engineer should be assigned, and for all the 10 servers, if suppose let's say one server takes 1 hour for the deployment, all the 10 servers will take 10 hours for the deployment. So that is a huge taking hours. Now, then what this Zomato will be doing is it will deploy with DevOps plus Terraform 1.tf file defines the infra that Terraform deploys to all clouds in minutes. So if you start using .tf, this .tf file, what does this .tf file will do is this .tf file will start deploying your resources into your cloud environments, either it is in AWS or Azure. Clear on this? Any questions?
Kiran, I have a question about the pipeline.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's say Netflix launched a feature that is a new feature for the end user, right, for the streaming.
Okay.
Okay, like
Okay.
let's say a new search bar.
Okay.
They also launched simultaneously, different product team launched a different feature for the AI and ML, and another internal team launched a different feature for improving the analytics.
Okay.
How does those three features getting launched on the same day work through the pipeline that is going to deploy across this multi-cloud and strategy?
Okay. Suppose let's say you have three teams who are deploying it,
Yeah,
but the feature, there will be different branches. When you try
yeah,
to deploy a pipeline, there will be different branches, right?
yep, yep.
So all the three branches will not go to the production environment. There will be only the main branch which goes to production environment. Suppose let's say you have A, B, C, three teams, okay?
Hmm.
A deploys a feature branch, B deploys a C feature branch, C deploys a feature branch. Now when this A, B, C branches, sorry, people deploys, teams deploys a feature branch, this feature branches will be connected to one single main branch, and from that main branch, it will be connected to all the three environments.
Okay,
That's how.
okay.
Okay,
So there is always one master branch only, irrespective
correct.
of one cloud or multi-cloud. Okay,
Either it could be any cloud, or it could be any state, or it could be any region or zone. Because sometimes, let's say there is an MNC company who has different clients and different zones in different environments. Suppose like Canada, Australia, East US, India, Hong Kong. So we have clients in five environments. So all my five environments based application is completely different. Okay. So that is for East US, there will be abc.com, one single application. But for East US, it will be on East US clusters. For Australia, it will be on Australia clusters. For Hong Kong, it will be on Hong Kong clusters to avoid the latency. Okay.
right.
But to deploy any changes to this environment or to make any change to this particular abc.com domain, I'll be using only one pipeline, but that pipeline will deploy it into all the three clusters. In the same way, you will be having the only one single master branch. From that one single master branch, you will be deploying your environment or your infrastructure into all the three clouds or all the three environments.
Cool, cool. Thank you.
Hi, Kiran. I have a doubt.
Yeah. Yes.
So, across the different clouds, uh, the applications are clones or replicated from the source, or they're independent.
So when you're trying to deploy the application you're talking about or the infrastructure.
Uh, the application, not the infra.
Okay, so when you're trying to deploy the application, the infrastructure, sorry, there are completely dependent on one single pipeline or the one single code.
Okay, so the source, I mean, these are just the replicated images from the source.
Correct.
Okay.
So you will be, so suppose let's say you have the Azure DevOps environment. Okay. So the why I'm taking the example of Azure DevOps, because Azure DevOps is the environment which helps you to connect you to the all the three clouds. Either it is Azure, AWS, or GCP. Now what happens is all my source code will be in the Azure repository. From Azure repository, I'll be creating a pipeline to connect it to AWS, to connect it to GCP, to connect it to Azure. Now, when I try to deploy the Azure repo source code from master branch, it is interdependent and it will go ahead and deploy it into the all the three clouds. Now, the all the three clouds environment is dependent on Azure repo's source code. So the source code will be only one. The deployment will be into three different clouds.
Okay, understood.
Now, how this multi-cloud or how this automation after automating the infrastructure or after automating the application, how this multi-cloud will work is, let's say I have application. Okay. The same training.com. Okay. Now tell me when I try to deploy this training.com application, what else I need for the deployment? I need a virtual machine or app service for front end, database for backend, ser serverless for queues, storage for backup. Correct? These are all the things that we require while deploying the application. Before I start with explanation, just want to understand, is there anyone in this class with non-IT or non-technical backgrounds or freshers?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So for freshers and for non-IT or non-technical, this virtual machine, database, and serverless will be new. Simply just remember that virtual machine is nothing but it's a place where you will be deploying your application. That is, suppose let's say Book My Show or Zomato.com or Swiggy or whatever you use, whatever you see for your from your eyes is nothing but front end. Okay. And when you try to order a food from a restaurant, like any restaurant, Shagos, you have Paradise, you have much more restaurants. So whatever the information you see with your eyes is nothing but your front end. To see your information with your eyes, the information need to be stored. The in, to store that information, we need a backend. So that is called a database. That is called backend. And to connect the interlink between your front end and back end is nothing but a serverless queues. And to make your disaster recovery happening, that is your if your application fails the existing, you can take the backup and run the backup. So that is nothing but your storage. Now you guys understood of what is what. This especially for the non-IT or s- the freshers.
Got it.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now what I can do is as as a part of multi-cloud or to reduce my cost or to increase my capacity or to make error-free deployments or latency-free deployments, what simply I'll be doing is I can go ahead and take virtual machine from Azure, that is front end, and database, database from AWS, that is backend, and I can utilize storage from GCP. From GCP. Now what I will be doing is I'll be interlinking all this using a DevOps environment. So I'll be interlinking all this using a DevOps environment and I'll deploy my application over there. Okay. With this, what happens is when I try to deploy an application, there is no dependent on my single cloud, which will also increase my security, and then cost decreases, because if I have all the three clouds, I can verify which where the cost is less and I can utilize that particular environment. Is that clear, everyone, on this? Any questions? Any confusions?
So I just have a quick question about the CDN. Um,
Yeah.
so Netflix uses their own proprietary CDN, right? But let's take an example of another service. Let's say
Okay.
Amazon Prime, right?
Okay.
So they'll be hosting the assets on the CDN
Yeah.
only on that cloud which is going to be eventually used for streaming, right? Because that's the whole
Correct.
purpose of fetching the assets quickly.
Correct. So what's your doubt in this?
No, I was just getting confused because this is my first, I guess, demo when it comes to
Okay.
multi-cloud. So like
Okay.
because I'm seeing Azure, AWS, and GCP. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that the CDN will always go on the front end. So because that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
where the
So that's why when we take the example of Netflix also, we have clearly mentioned AWS for streaming, Azure
yeah,
for analytics, and GCP for AI or ML.
yeah,
So now what happens is, as you mentioned, the CDN network will be the front-end network should be only on the one particular cloud. The streaming environment will be on the cloud, but the the process of helping the CDN or helping the CDN, the streaming process, that can be deployed into multiple clouds.
okay.
Okay. Are you still confused?
A little bit, but we can move forward.
Yeah, so you will be able to understand of this multi-cloud concept in our further going classes. I know it is a bit difficult or a bit confused when you try to learn or dependent only on the one demo class, because what happens is like probably we will first stick our mindset to the cloud and everything got deployed into the cloud. That's how the process works. But there's a concept of multi-cloud, which is a new evolving course, I can say, or the new evolving dependent structure in today's market, because the multi-cloud importance got increased when it comes to security. The first and foremost reason, how many times you listen every about the word multi-cloud, every time you will see the word or listen this word called security. That's why the multi-cloud is meant for its security, because Azure, so when you take the dependencies of the three clouds, Azure is expertise in one environment, AWS is expertise in one environment, GCP is expertise in one environment. So when you have all these environments and when you have the idea of all these environments, when you try to deploy the resources, you will be first and foremost thinking about the security and the expertise level to resolve your future issues. Correct?
Right.
So that's why this multi-cloud has become most important in today's market. So, and most dependent subject in today's market.
So in this course, Kiran, will we be like doing a deep dive in the
Yes, we will be doing
security?
it.
Like, we'll be doing just the DevSecOps piece, or we'll be doing the deep dive security on each of these cloud platform?
We will be doing a DevSecOps,
Okay.
please, where
Okay.
you will be able to understand of deploying your pipeline using a DevSecOps concept.
Yeah.
That is, you will be attaching or so when you commit with the security tools, I can take the example of SonarQube.
Yeah.
So you will be understanding on how this build pipeline will be running based on the SonarQube and what are all the results that you will be getting in the SonarQube and resolving that issues, then deploying it to the environment. Like that, you will be able to understand in this course.
Cool.
Completely would be
Oh,
hands-on, accurate.
yes, it is an hands-on. Okay. Now, quickly, let's understand the importance of multi-cloud. First, high availability and reliability. That is, if AWS has regional outage, your backup systems on Azure or GCP keep the app running. So, did you understand the concept of high availability and reliability?
Yes.
Whenever your application, the application in the sense Zomato.com, Book My Show, Swiggy, any application, it could be Amazon, Flipkart, whenever the application is deployed on one region with one cloud, if that particular region's cloud is down, the next cloud or the backup systems will start running and make your app up and running without any downtime. To make you quickly understand, you can relate this multi-cloud concept with your power in the home. How many of you have inverter in your home? Come on guys, respond back. I hope everyone have inverter in your home, right? So when you have the inverter, do you know when the power have power outage or when there is no power outage? Will you be seeing the difference? No, right? Because the inverter will be connected to your battery as well as your power. So whenever power comes, it will give the power, and if there is a power outage, the battery will start giving you the power. So you don't even know the difference, or you don't even identify whether there is a power gone or not. Correct? In the same way, when you have multi-cloud environment for your application, even if your primary zone is down, you don't even know that your secondary zone is up and running, and users can't even identify that there is an outage of your application. That is the reason why it is called as high availability and reliability. And avoid vendor lock-in. What is this vendor lock-in? Relying on one cloud limits flexibility and can increase costs later. That's called vendor lock-in. That is dependent on one single cloud environment is nothing but vendor lock-in. So if we have the cost increase also, we need to bear that cost and we need to be in that same cloud itself because we don't have the choice. And the third one is optimized performance. You can host your services closer to your users for faster response. As I said, to avoid latency and to make your application optimized, you can go ahead and deploy your services nearby users environment or users region, which will be providing you an optimized performance. And then you have cost optimization, that is multi-cloud lets you choose the most cost effective platform for each workload. And the fifth one you have is compliance and data sovereignty. Some countries require data to stay within borders. Disaster recovery. So these are the importances of your multi-cloud environment. Clear everyone on this? Okay. So as a part of this course, what we will be learning is we'll be having a 75 days of 75 hours classes, that is daily 1 hour. What is part of this course? 75 days. Okay. With real time and hands-on experience. Why I'm calling it as real time and hands-on experiences, we will be working on a task which are in real time. I mean, how we resolve in my company and how can you go ahead and take a task if you are really working in a company and how can we go ahead and clear or resolve that issues. So that's called a real time, and hands-on experiences. We will be sharing our screen and you will be performing your task, or you will be performing the scripts or commands, whatever I say in the class, where you can go ahead and easily or quickly understand of these examples of commands. So with the help of screen share, even I can able to go ahead and check whether it is working or not. If you have any issues, we can resolve then and there itself, and we will be focusing on issues resolving as well. Clear, everyone?
Yeah.
So you will be understanding about cloud fundamentals and DevOps foundations, that is AWS, GCP, Azure, and then you will be working in Terraform, VMs, or compute services, networking, security, AWS, GCP, Azure Cloud, Azure Clouds, CI/CD pipelines, deployment, with Terraform and TerraGrunt automation, Jenkins setup, GitHub, Docker, Kubernetes, pipeline security, with real-time projects and tasks. So you will be having classes every day 1 hour, and you will be getting your recordings every day by end of the day. You can go ahead and ask if you have any questions, any doubts, confusions.
I have a question about the course, Kiran. So
Yep.
you have this program, and do you also? I believe you also have another program that is more, I guess, focused on the Azure admin and Azure
Yes. Correct.
ecosystem, right?
Correct.
So can I ask your recommendation, Kiran? So I'll give you a brief, I guess, context. I live in Canada. I've been working in Canada 8+ years as a product manager.
Okay.
My plan is to make a career pivot into cloud security next year.
Okay.
Because I wanted to start with one path. So for now, I have decided to pursue the path of Azure Security Engineer.
Okay.
A lot of course content that you have shared on this screen is going to be very informative for me. But I'm wondering if these things are also covered in the other Azure program that you have. So I'm just trying
See,
to decide which program should I
okay.
enroll for.
Okay, so as you mentioned, I mean, probably as you already mentioned that you are working as a manager with 8 years of experience
Yep.
in the in Canada or wherever it is. So when I talk about the two different courses, the Azure, whatever the course we are learning, is particularly related to only the Azure.
Right.
So you'll be learning only about the Azure. You'll be learning only about the Azure CI/CD, Azure repositories. But as a part of the next future or whatever you are thinking to learn something, I would recommend to go with the multi-cloud because this is what a real-time evolving structure in the market where people are trying to hire who have a knowledge on all the three clouds because they are mainly dependent on cost optimization because now each and every cloud started increasing the cost because so far whatever happened is they tried to make people dependent on their services. Now it's time for them to increase the cost of the services. So as this phase is of increasing the cost, people are trying to look over the cost optimization, and the one who have the advantage of all the three clouds will be go ahead and easily or quickly do a cost optimization.
Right. So, in the other program for the Azure, do we do
Yeah.
a deep dive in the core concepts like identity and access management, network security, the Key Vault, Azure Key Vault, and Microsoft Defender or Sentinel, or is it
No,
more focused
those
on the
three.
DevOps?
So it's more focused on
Mm,
Azure infrastructure as well as DevOps,
mhm,
but not in depth of Microsoft Defenders and the Sonar Cube and all those things.
mm. And the classes are Monday to Friday. I'm just trying to figure out
Yes,
the time. So the
Monday to
time will be what? 8 a.m. IST every day?
yep.
Okay.
Okay. So any other questions? Anyone
And this multi-cloud program starts from which date?
from tomorrow itself?
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, so as a part of this course, we will even try to help you in resume building. We will also help you in having some mock interview questions, and we will be working on the project so that it could be something once after you complete this course, you will be able to say that at least you have 3 to 4 years of experience working as a multi-cloud environment person. That is either this will be helpful for you for a experienced person or for freshers as well. Whenever they join in a company, they will be able to identify what are all the services they are using in their company and what are all the services that we have learned here. So by this, whenever there is a task comes in, they can go ahead and easily do it. So that's the reason why we will be having a real time and hands-on experience. And as the market, today's market is looking for the person who has different types of experiences or different types of ideas, that is called a we in general we will say a multi-talented person, something like this. When you have an experience related to multi-cloud, that will help you in your career building as well as getting your job very quickly, because 70% of the companies are looking for the people who have knowledge in different technologies. So we'll be working every day. We'll sit in the class, we'll ask to share the screen if there is any issues, and while you are practicing, if you got any issues, the very next day we will discuss that and we will try to resolve the issues. And will not make everyone's a doubtfulness, but the only point I would request from you all is, let's be interactive, let's practice. Whenever it is a task, let's complete, let's focus on that. And let's learn something so that it will be useful for you in coming future. Okay. You can go ahead and ask me any questions. It's not about the English or it's not about the things. If you have doubts, you can go ahead and ask in Telugu, Hindi, English, whichever the language it is you are comfortable with. You can go ahead and ask. No, don't hesitate that you should be only asking in English or Hindi. So just you can even you where whichever language you are comfortable, you can just go ahead and ask. Either it is Telugu, Hindi, or English. Any questions? Any confusions? Okay, if there is no questions, you'll be having this course content with the admin. If you want, you can just take this out and we'll continue our classes from tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.